So welcome everyone, and before we start, let's take a moment of silence to ingather ourselves, bring our mind here in the body, and invoke Mother's and Sure Window's presence. So we pick up the threads from where we stopped last. Just a moment. So we see that Ashwapati is becoming aware now of all these kind of a ladder of consciousness, planes of existence that is in front of him. That is where we have to start today. Yeah. So here we see that now his sight, his subtle sight, or we can see, because right now in ignorance we can't see more than this much, like whatever is there in front of us that we can gather through our senses, interpret through the mind, only that we can understand. Otherwise we have no idea of what are the planes of existence in between, on which actually we are living parallelly, but we are not aware of them. So here Ashwapati becomes aware of all this, the ladder of consciousness that is there. So we'll take up things from here. And today we'll also see something from Avatar Meher Baba's book, God Speaks, where he also shares the similar ladder of consciousness and different planes of existence that are there. So we will see how they are absolute kind of, there is a match what we are reading here today and what Avatar Meher Baba also shares. So let us go ahead with this. Yes. If anyone want to read?
Yeah, Monica, I'll read.
Yes, please.
A giant order was discovered here, of which the tassel and extended fringe are the scant stuff of our material lives. I'll read once more. A giant order was discovered here, of which the tassel and extended fringe are the scant stuff of our material lives.
Yes, thank you. So he discovered that there is something like a large picture, the vaster picture that he became aware of. A giant order was discovered here, of which the tassel and extended fringe are the scant stuff of our material lives. So tassel is like, there are when we have chunnis or shawls, there are threads hanging from the border, the exterior ends of the shawl or the chunni. So that is the outer part. The fringe is again the outer part. So he sees that the vaster picture that is there, and the life that we live on a material plane, where all that we are exposed to is only the things that we touch and feel and sense and see and hear and listen and taste and smell. So all that we are just surrounded with all the time, and then the mind is interpreting. Throughout, the mind keeps on interpreting, and that is what we feel, that okay, this is reality, this is where we live. So but this is only a bit, or only the outer fringe of that vast unseen giant order, which is excluded from our usual vision. We are not aware of those things. It's like behind the curtain it is there. So he discovers this giant order, of which the tassel and extended fringe are the scant stuff. Scant means, like very scanty, it's like nothing, very little. So actually the lives that we live, if we live only on the material plane and give only the priority to sense perceptions and my senses and my desires, and this is what I want next, and then this is what gives me pleasure, and this I don't want because it gives me pain. So if we remain on that plane, then we remain excluded from a larger part of our existence which is behind this veil. And that is why masters have said that we should spend some time shutting the door of our senses to get in touch with something which is deeper, which does not get disclosed if we keep always engrossed in the senses. So he becomes aware of this giant order. Anything here? Keep sharing if there is anything. Yeah, no, we go ahead. So anybody would like to read?
Yes, I read, Monica. This overt universe whose figures hide the secrets merged in superconscient light wrote clear the letters of its glowing code, a map of subtle signs surpassing thought was hung upon a wall of inmost mind.
Yeah. So we usually, what happens with us is that we are so lost in the form and figures of the day-to-day life, because that is what I can touch and feel and sense and taste and everything. We are so lost in the uh, forms and appearances, the overt universe whose figures hide the secrets merged in superconscient life. So we are so lost in the appearances that we are not able to see behind the appearances. What are the appearances representing? So all these things that we have in the material existence, take anything, like a book or a pen, or or the laptop or the bottle, or anything that is there in material form, the bodies that we have, animal bodies, all that we have in material form, these figures are hiding some secrets, as if they are symbolizing something, but we are not able to catch those symbols. We get lost in the appearance, and even our life situations are those appearances. Hmm? So that is why when there are challenging life experiences that we go through, if we are able to read beyond that appearance that is coming to our forefront, like a very challenging phase or a difficult phase, if we see only the difficulty, then of course we are doomed, because there is no light that I can see. But then if we can decode to a certain extent, what is this life experience trying to tell me? Why have I invited such a life experience in my life, this situation in my life? So then we are able to decode something, because they are hiding some light, they are hiding some truth that is there in that behind that appearance. So this overt universe whose figures hide the secrets merged in superconscient light wrote clear the letters of its glowing code. So this was revealed, as if the code is revealed to Ashwapati. Now he becomes aware of the symbolism behind the forms, a map of subtle signs surpassing thought. Through thought, I cannot come to a conclusion or a kind of a relative truth that okay, this is what it is. It is only an insight that awakens, that oh, like eureka, aha moment, that when we quieten down our mind, when we go to the inmost recesses of our being, then we are able to maybe get an insight on why I am manifesting this situation. So it is beyond thought. Hmm? So a map of subtle signs surpassing thought was hung upon a wall of inmost mind. So as if there is a wall, and on the wall we have like a kind of a whatever, we can hang anything on the wall which can be read like a script. So on the inmost recesses of his mind, not inner, because inner is still a mediator, inmost, when we are able to go to that depth in our being, he was able to totally see, as if these codes are glowing out and telling some symbolisms to him which were so far not at all apparent, that, oh, this is what it signifies, like that. So this becomes revealed. A map of subtle signs surpassing thought was hung upon a wall of inmost mind. Usually we are always on the outer mind. अगर हम देखेंगे, if, just look at how we live. Usually we are always in the outer mind. है ना, उसने क्या कहा, अच्छा मेरे साथ ये क्यों हो रहा है ना, मेरे साथ 2 साल पहले ऐसा क्यों हुआ था, उसने मेरे को ऐसा बोला, इसका क्या मतलब है. This is all happening on the outer mind, the outer fringe that we just read, the tassel and the extended fringe. But if we are not able to go and touch in the meantime, 24 hours a day we have, time to time we have to touch the deepest recesses of our being. And that is where we find these insights and intuitive kind of symbols that come to us, and we have a aha moment, like, oh, now I see, why I manifested this or that kind of a situation in my life. Because this is beyond thought. You can't logically decode the code. This is coming from beyond the thought. Anything here? Anyone? So, assuming there is nothing, then we go ahead. If there is anything at any moment, please unmute and share. Yeah. So we read the lines in green. If anyone would like to read, please go ahead.
Illumining the world's concrete images into significant symbols by its gloss, it offered to the intuitive exegete its reflex of the eternal mystery.
So now with this vision that he has got, है ना, जैसे संजय को मिला था ना, जैसे महाभारत में संजय had got this vision that without going to the battlefield of Mahabharat, he can have actually the whole view of why things are happening and how things are happening. So, and I have read somewhere, I don't know where, that Sanjay represents this inner vision that we get in our growing realization. And Dhritarashtra also is representation of our blind mind. Somewhere I read, I don't know where. So it was very interesting. Yeah. So illumining the world's concrete images. So as we were discussing, that all that we have is these concrete, all that I can touch and feel and sense, that is concrete to the senses. Now there is a greater illumination that he is able to see beyond those appearances. What are these figures symbolizing? Because each figure in manifestation, since the manifestation is coming from the divine, and if divine is true, the manifestation is also true. So each figure in manifestation, each form in manifestation represents a certain truth. So we are not aware of these truths in action. So he is becoming aware, illumining the world's concrete images into significant symbols by its gloss. It offered to the intuitive exegete its reflex of eternal mystery. So exegete is a person who is a kind of an interpreter. He's an interpreter. So now he is kind of an interpreter, Ashwapati, because he can now see beyond the symbolic word or figurative word. And here reflex, according to Shraddhavan, it reflex here is not like how we have our reflexes, but a kind of a reflection. Since the mind has gone quiet and the mind has raised itself above the ordinary outer mind, it is like, as Sri Aurobindo says in Synthesis of Yoga, it is like a very still, limpid lake. Whenever there is a still, limpid lake, then it can reflect completely the reflection of something that is above, like a moon. If the moon is above, then it can reflect the moon clearly. So in that silence of his being, this eternal mystery gets reflected. So this is as long as Sri Aurobindo says that mind can only reach up to a certain extent. After that, it has to kind of give over, to something higher than it. But this is what can be done. अगर हम day to day life में देखेंगे, so quietening down the mind and again kind of stepping back from the surface consciousness, the turmoil in the surface consciousness, this is something which is doable. Once we are convinced, this is doable. So quietening down the mind, silencing the mind to a certain degree is a very important step for anybody who is kind of wanting to make benefit of this human birth, because only then the mind serves as a receptacle for higher intuitions. It's like आपका कप अब खाली होके पड़ा हुआ है, it has space. Now the higher truth can come into that space. If all the time garbage is there, then of course higher truth has no space to come. So now to this exegete, intuitive exegete, the eternal mystery gets reflected in this mind, in his being. Yeah. Anything here? Anyone? Okay. So now comes interesting lines on which as I was sharing, I would share something from God Speaks, Meher Baba, a book from Meher Baba, where he actually gives us a picture of how this is unfolding, the whole manifestation, how it is unfolding ladder by ladder. And that is what we see here in Sri Aurobindo's description. So let us read first and then we'll see that picture. Would anyone want to read?
This will be from Ascending, right?
Yes.
Ascending and descending twixt life's poles, the seried kingdoms of the graded law, plunged from the everlasting into time, then glad of a glory of multitudinous mind, and rich with life's adventure and delight, and packed with the beauty of matter's shapes and hues, climbed back from time into undying self, up a golden ladder, carrying the soul, tying with diamonds threads the spirit's extremes. In this drop from consciousness to consciousness, each leaned on the occult inconscience power, the fountain of its needed ignorance, archmason of the limits by which it lives. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't realize there was a full stop in between also. So anyway, yeah. So he sees now this ladder, this huge, humongous, endless ladder that he sees ascending and descending. And of course, when there is a ladder, it is ascending also and it is descending also, right? आप उसी से ऊपर जाते हो, उसी से नीचे आते हो. And their two poles of life are matter and spirit. Matter, like when we initially start from gases and the gases are forming into like hard stony material, then from stone life emerged, insects, worms, plants, all the species of animals, and then going on consciousness developing itself and taking on higher animals, and then now human being, and now human being has to go forward. So we can't think, okay, human being is the highest step. No, that's what Mother and Sri Aurobindo talk about. That there has to come this life divine, and then man has to come into Superman, become a Superman. Then everything is moved only by the divine impulsion and nothing else, consciously. So he sees ascending and descending twixt in between life's poles, this seried kingdoms of the graded law. It's like gradations, like we have gradations in colors. तो आप अगर लाइटेस्ट मोस्ट से शुरू करो ना, उसमें ज्यादा वाइट होगा, एंड देन लाइट पिंक एंड लाइटर darker pink and darker pink, and then it slowly turns fully to red. When we are making these posters or these designs, in Canva or wherever, where there also we see we have gradations, you know, नीचे black होता है, very reflecting, नीचे black होता है, ऊपर वो color होता है, और फिर बीच में वो white होता है ताकि आप mix कर पाओ, you know, कि like we have a series like gradations. So he's able to see these gradations in our consciousness, you know, the seried kingdoms of the graded law, and each plane of consciousness has its own law. Now these planes of consciousness may appear very kind of far away from us, but we are living on these planes all the time. Like there is this mental plane, the plane of mind. Then there is the plane of vital energy, जिसको हम प्राणमय कोश भी कहते हैं ना, मनोमय कोश, प्राणमय कोश. Then there is annamay kosh, which is the physical, the plane of the physical, the matter. And then of course there are higher rungs. So at the same time, parallel, now scientists talk about parallel universes, if we have heard about it. At the same time, in this very instance, I am living on all those planes, me being unaware of it. I don't know that I am living on those planes, but I am living, you know, so it's a parallel reality. And that is why when we want to heal ourselves of mental, emotional, physical illnesses, we have to tap into these higher places where we are also living and we are well. So we kind of identify with that grade of consciousness, and slowly then we can revert and we can have health recovered. So he sees, you know, the seried kingdoms of the graded law, each plane having its own laws, plunged from the everlasting into time. So as if the everlasting has sent something below and pushed it into time. You know, this time and eons that are passing, and we are trying to evolve. You know, the earth is laboring to evolve us into a higher and higher consciousness. So as if it's plunged into this darkness from the everlasting into time, from that which is beyond time and space into that which is totally in the grip of time and space. So my body is in the grip of time and space, right? I can be destroyed in the sense that the form changes, I become ash. When you're talking about the body, you know, the body becomes ash. But we see that actually matter is not getting destroyed. Now this is very interesting. Matter is only changing forms. So in one sense, matter is also kind of immortal. So when we say that we are immortal, this is actually true, because the body is also immortal. है ना, बॉडी को हमने जला दिया, जल के वो राख बन गई, और राख आगे जाके कुछ और कहीं मिक्स हो गई, but it's not completely vanishing away. It's not completely being destroyed. So plunged from the everlasting into time, then glad of a glory of multitudinous mind, and rich with life's adventure and delight, and packed with the beauty of matter, shapes and hues. Now this is our adventure of the soul consciousness. It jumps into this darkness, plunges itself into time and space. That which is beyond time and space plunges itself into time and space, but then it enjoys all its struggles and joys and discoveries and inventions and different colors and varieties, which it did not have when it was beyond time and space. So it is glad, you know, like this is an adventure of the spirit. Then glad of a glory of a multitudinous mind, and rich with life's adventure and delight. You know, look at our lives, full of adventure. चाहे कितना भी मुश्किल समय आया हो हमारी लाइफ में, but when we look back at it, then we say that how much we actually appreciate, because we grow through all these experiences. So life's adventure and delight, and packed with the beauty of matter's shapes and hues, the kind of how we are able to, through our senses, have these varied experience of maybe a jalebi and a samosa. So it is this ignorance, it is this division between me and a jalebi that allows me to enjoy these varied experiences, for example. Climbed back from time into undying self. So this ladder that he sees, it is not only coming from everlasting into time, but it's also going from time into the undying self. The ladder of So there is this chapter which I would recommend those of us who are interested in synthesis of yoga. There is a chapter called The Ladder of Self-Transcendence. We should read that. So whoever feels inclined, just read that chapter. And there Sri Aurobindo talks about all these poises of our being, different planes of consciousness, the plane of physical, the plane vital, Manomaya Purusha, the plane of mental, and then beyond, how kind of they go ahead. And they have to fulfill themselves by growing up and up and up. Up a golden ladder carrying the soul. So this ladder is actually taking the soul towards its full consummation, full contentment, full realization. This ladder is taking. Up a golden ladder carrying the soul, tying with diamond threads the spirit's extremes. So let us read a few lines from this. I'll just read the last bit. I won't go through the whole chapter. I leave it to all of us. So just last bit I am reading where he kind of summarizes what is to be done. So he says, the supramental principle is secretly lodged in all existence. तो अगर हम पत्थर भी देख रहे हैं उसमें भी supramental existence lodged है, consciousness lodged है, वो दिखती नहीं है, it is not palpable. And that is why supermind can come out of that, because it is gone in. It has got involuted so that it can evolve. Like अगर हम किसी एक डायमंड को बहुत सारे कपड़ों में छुपा दें, है ना, एक लेयर है, फिर दूसरी लेयर है, फिर तीसरी लेयर है, फिर चौथी लेयर है, लेयर बाय लेयर जैसे जैसे वो उतरती रहेगी, उसके बाहर बाद में जो मिलेगा वो डायमंड होगा. Why? Because it was hidden inside. So like that our true consciousness is hidden inside. So he says, the supramental principle is secretly lodged in all existence. It is there even in the grossest materiality. It preserves and governs the lower worlds by its hidden power and law. But that power veils itself, and that law works unseen through the shackled limitations and limping deformations of the lesser rule of our physical, vital, and mental nature. So that supramental light is lodged within us, each one of us, imagine, and it has this curtain of, very thick curtain of mental limits and rigidities, vital emotional limits and rigidities, and the bodily limits. But still it manages to pass through and kind of manifest itself. Yet its governing presence in the lowest forms assures us, because of the unity of all existence, that there is a possibility of their awakening. Now, why can we realize God? Because people have done it. Because God is present with us all the time. If he was not present, he, she, whatever, if God was not there, then it is impossible to realize also. Realize to usi ko karenge jo hai, right? So he says that it assures us that there is a possibility of their awakening. A possibility even of their perfect manifestation here, in spite of every veil, in spite of all the mass of our apparent disabilities, in spite of the incapacity or unwillingness of our mind and life and body. So सारी लिमिट्स ले लो अपनी बॉडी की, तमस ले लो, रजस ले लो, पैशंस ले लो, सारी लिमिट्स ले लो. In spite of all those limits being there, it is a possibility for each one of us to truly realize it. Yeah, and then he goes further. I won't read everything. Then he says, the soul that aspires to perfection, and this is something which all of us do in our own way. The soul that aspires to perfection draws back and upward, says the Upanishad, from the physical into the vital, and from the vital into the mental Purusha, from the mental into the knowledge soul, and from that self of knowledge into the bliss Purusha. So Satchit Ananda, like ladder here going on. This self of bliss is the conscious foundation of perfect Satchidananda. The mind therefore must try to give to itself some account of this decisive transformation of the embodied consciousness, this radiant transfiguration and self-exceeding of our ever-aspiring nature. The description mind can arrive at can never be adequate to the thing itself, but it may point at least to some indicative shadow of it, or perhaps some half luminous image. So, and then of course, he goes on into the next chapter, which is the knowledge soul. Yes, Shardaji, please. So I would recommend people who are interested should actually go through this chapter, and we may not understand everything, it's okay, but we should read. I feel reading is good. So just sharing this picture with all of you, shared with Meher Baba's book of this involution and evolution. Just a moment. Yeah. So this is, what we were reading, like these ladders and planes of existence. So there is this stone and metal consciousness, which is in which you can't see any consciousness, right? It seems like dead. A stone feels like dead. But in India, we have this possibility to actually, we even do puja of stones, because we know that there is some conscious force in it. We may not see it, but it is there. So stones and metals, that is the first stage. Then vegetation, life form comes out of it. Then we have worms, then we have fishes, then we have birds, animals, then we have man. And in man also we can ascend, into higher planes, and then it becomes like a God realization. So this is what we have to, we can't stop just thinking that, okay, now I am a man and that is enough. We don't stop there. Now this is it, and then there is another kind of a second. Sorry, I think I opened something else. Yeah, here. So here again it shows how the consciousness goes into that darkness, and that is why ignorance is there. Ignorance is like a blind curtain, it's like a thick curtain which needs to be there if this creation has to be. So Savitri also, next few lines share that there is a need for ignorance, and ignorance is nothing like a curtain. So when an actor is there, the actor, when he's playing a certain role, which maybe is a villain kind of a role, for some time he has to forget that he's a nice man, so that he can play that villain character nicely. So that is kind of the need of ignorance, because otherwise we can't have these specific forms, different beings and their specific manifestations. We can't have that. So for some time they have to forget that they are the Param Brahma, because they have to just play this particular narrow role. So here he shares in this picture again, we see, here we see stone forms, metal forms, vegetable forms, worm forms, fish forms. So there is a descent, what Sri Aurobindo calls as the involution, and then there is the evolution, ascent. Like now what we have to do is the ascent. Human beings can do a conscious ascent. Animals can't do that conscious ascent, but human beings can. So that is why human birth is precious. And that is why this stepping back is possibility with us, but not with animals. To step back from my disturbing emotions, to step back from my negative patterns of thoughts, and to consciously put myself somewhere which is beneficial. So this we see. And then just last image that I want to share. Again, a different way to see this involution and evolution. Where is it? Yeah. This. So here also he shares, from gaseous forms emerged kind of stony forms, and then we have metal, and then we have vegetable, worms, insect, reptiles, then we have fish, bird, animals, different kind of forms of animals, again higher animals and lower animals, Then we have so many different births that we have taken, innumerable births, reincarnations after reincarnations after reincarnations. And then we have this possibility wherever we can get up and awaken to again go further, consciously go further and realize our true union with the divine and bring it also in the lower life. That is what integral yoga is about, to bring it into the lower life. So this is how they show this ladder that is there. Yeah, so anything here, anyone? Yeah. So this is what we were reading, and now what Anandini had already read. This in this drop from consciousness to consciousness. So we see how gradations are there when there is a drop. Huh? So in this drop from consciousness to consciousness, each leaned on the occult inconscient's power, the fountain of its needed ignorance, archmason of the limits by which it lives. So these are the limits that we were talking, that it is necessary. And if I am an actor and I have to perform a particular character very well, for some time I have to be ignorant of all other capacities of mine. So if, for example, I have to grieve in a movie, if I have to grieve, I have to cry and I have to weep and sob and really shatter, for some time I have to forget that I have the possibility to totally get up and actually be in charge of myself, since I am the actor, and this is the story. So this is what we call as ignorance, because when I am a horse, for example, I have to forget that I can be rest everything else also. I'm just a horse and I act like a horse and I'm limited with the limitations of a horse. I cannot be a reptile anymore. So this is ignorance, where it becomes necessary for manifestation to have this curtain so that these specific individual forms can manifest. But with human being, we have the capacity, whenever we wake up, in whatever lifetime we wake up, to slowly shed these layers of ignorance and realize that we are much more than our appearances and we are not what appears to be. So that is why they call that human birth is precious. Take care of it and use it well. So I think next few bits we can take up next time. Now again, we are talking about a drop from consciousness to consciousness, and now he also talks about the soar from consciousness to consciousness. So how we can soar and ascend in our consciousness, not identifying ourselves all the time with this bodily self is me, my feelings, my desires, my passions, my thoughts, my rigid opinions. But there is a higher poise that we can take, and then we more and more identify with that higher poise. We can bring that light into the lower expression also, refine our thoughts, choose the light thoughts, choose the light feelings which are goodwill for everyone, and love and compassion and kindness. So we reform all our instrument, which is the lower instrument, mind, feelings and the body, into the light of the higher. We kind of do a refinement so that this life itself slowly changes into life divine, and we don't leave all of it just like that, filthy and dirty. Yeah. So anything here, any comments, anyone?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
So, I think one of the things that was posted yesterday, right, in which it says, if you truly love the divine, and it says, then you be quiet and and stay, um, and not say anything to anyone, or don't react or don't respond. I don't know. I think it was put up in 1 minute. Friday study.
What does it say, if you can read it out?
Yeah. Oh. Oh, sorry. In prayers and meditation.
Okay.
If you truly love the divine,
Hmm.
prove it by remaining quiet and peaceful.
Hmm.
All that comes to each one in life comes from the divine to teach us a lesson.
Hmm.
And if we take it in the right spirit, we make rapid progress.
Hmm.
So try to do so.
Hmm.
So in this, yes, I understand. I mean, it's very simple lines, but like today, very small example, my daughter was, had written an exam and she was not feeling well. And so obviously, she came home and she said, I felt very low on energy and I thought I would, pass out. So, not my immediate reaction. I just took it in story, but those thoughts suddenly like sort of, pump in, right? And they say that, oh, what if she was alone and, this happened or somewhere she passed out or, maybe, should have eaten a better diet, have a better diet to, not fall sick. So I think I mean, for me right now, earlier it would have been a more immediate reaction. Oh, you should take care but I don't say anything now, not as much. Uh, but so what happens then? How do we really work? What does mother have something on that when, we can say it to other people, right? Advice is always given. Like you tell them to probably take better care or do a little bit of exercise or rest well and things like that, right? So, which of course now for me personally, I do it, after some time. It's not like an immediate reaction, but still the thought sometimes sort of persists, and so yeah, then you obviously offer it and tell mother that, whatever is the right thing, do that. But I don't know when
You
it comes
already said it, Nandini. You already said it. Actually, this is what we have to do. See, Sri Aurobindo says that we must have that much of mastery over mind that if there is something that is disturbing and we say, I don't want to think about it, we should be able to do it.
okay, so
We
that's
have to
the like you
cultivate.
don't
Yeah.
right.
And if, see, that is why they say that with human being, the problem is that mother says that human beings are the most miserable creatures on the planet. While we have the possibility to be ultimately divine, we are the most miserable. Why? Because our minds are out of our hand. They are not under our control. Our feelings are haywire. They are not under our control. When we are in the feeling of jealousy, we are feeling anger towards anyone. We think that if somebody says that, oh, you are angry towards someone, you know that anger is very harmful to you, so don't be angry. We would say, pagal hai kya? Matlab, how can I not be angry? I am angry. And then, nowadays we can also, people talk, there are various terminologies. People call it a spiritual bypass. I have heard this new terminology. I don't know what it truly means, but what they want to say is that whatever your feelings are showing you, like especially these disturbing ones, frustration, annoyance, anger, what they say is कि उस पे ध्यान दो, उसकी बात सुनो, क्योंकि अगर तुम उसकी बात नहीं सुन रहे तो इसका मतलब तुम उसको सप्रेस कर रहे हो. Now, of course, we can do that for a long time, that we give it attention, we validate, we approve, and we do all kind of trying to connect the dots. But we will see that actually it is a never ending mess. Never ending mess. ठीक है. और हम ये नहीं समझ रहे हैं कि आपको लग रहा है कि आप जेलसी, एम्बिशन, लस्ट, ग्रीड को सप्रेस कर रहे हो, उस पर ध्यान नहीं दे रहे हो, बट एक्चुअली में हो क्या रहा है, आप इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज को अपनी लाइफ में इग्नोर कर रहे हो. श्री अरबिंदो क्या कहते हैं सावित्री में, लाइफ इज अ मार्वल मिस्ड, एन आर्ट गॉन राय, a treasure cheaply, fruitlessly sold in the bazaar of blind destiny. So this is what we do with our lives. हमको लगता है कि नहीं नहीं इसको कैसे इग्नोर कर दूं, इस गुबार को, है ना. तो slowly through our experiences and giving enough importance to those all the disturbing emotions and thoughts, when we have done that enough, क्योंकि उससे पहले हम कन्विंस नहीं होते. When we have done that enough, we realize that it is the surface chatter of the outer mind. It will remain. But I can also do something better with my life. Like example I give is कि मानो आप घूम रहे हो, टहल रहे हो, और कोई बंदा आपको गाली देता है ना. आप उसके साथ उलझ सकते हो कि भैया क्या तेरा मूड खराब है, क्या घर से लड़के आया है, कि क्यों मेरे को ये तूने बोला, क्या बिगाड़ा है मैंने तेरा. लड़ सकते हो आप आराम से, 1 घंटे की बहस हो सकती है. और अगर उस समय आपको फ्लाइट पकड़नी है, बहुत जरूरी फ्लाइट है आपकी, वो बंदे ने आपको गाली दी है, आप क्या करोगे? आप एक्चुअली में उसको इग्नोर करके भागोगे अपनी फ्लाइट पकड़ने के लिए. सो व्हेन वी हैव बेटर थिंग्स टू डू इन आवर लाइफ, लाइक टेमिंग द मंकी माइंड फॉर एग्जाम्पल, then we are able to slowly ignore these surface ripples. All these are surface ripples. As long as the ego consciousness is there, jealousy will be there, ambition will be there, lust will be there, greed will be there, desire will be there. It's like a bouquet. तो मैं अब क्या कर सकती हूँ? मैंने एनफ एक्सपीरियंसेस ले लिए हैं, 30-40 साल की मेरी लाइफ हो गई है. अब मैं क्या करना चाहती हूँ? मैं इसी को फोकस बना के रखना चाहती हूँ, या मैं कुछ अपना मीनिंगफुल करना चाहती हूँ लाइफ में. और फिर आप देखते हो कि जब आपके पास फ्लाइट है पकड़ने के लिए, व्हेन यू हैव समथिंग मीनिंगफुल टू डू, मीनिंगफुल इज फॉर एग्जांपल, मीनिंगफुल इज taming the monkey mind, not letting the mind being swayed and puppeted around by these surface emotions is a meaningful job, है ना. तो अगर मैं उस पर ध्यान लगाती हूँ तो ये सारी चीजें बाईपास हो जाती है, इसको मैं साइड पे कर देती हूँ. तो एक्चुअली में अब मैं क्या कर रही हूँ? अब मैं उस चीज पे ध्यान दे रही हूँ जिसके लिए मैं पैदा हुई हूँ. बात उल्टी हो रही है. पहले क्या लग रहा था कि वो नहीं नहीं मैं सप्रेस कर रही हूँ, सप्रेस कर रही हूँ. अब मैंने उसको देख लिया, मैंने कहा भैया ये तो जाने नहीं वाला. जैसे मिराज नहीं जाती ना, मिराज अगर सड़क पे है, दूर से आपको एक पानी के जैसा दिख रहा है, वो जाती थोड़ी ना, उससे लड़ाई थोड़ी ना करोगे आप. आप क्या करोगे? आप अपनी गाड़ी चलाओगे. तो आप मिराज को मारने की कोशिश थोड़ी ना करोगे. सो व्हाट वी डू इज दैट at one point of time in our life we realize that these are going to be there. The only thing is that I don't want to give them attention anymore. I want to cultivate good things, positive things in its respect, instead of all that. What are the good things that I can cultivate in my life? So I can cultivate kindness, compassion, goodwill, gratitude, generosity. So उन सबको इग्नोर करके आपने अच्छी चीजें, क्योंकि अब पता लग गया कि वो हमें बहुत नुकसान दे रही है ना, पता लग गया. तो अब जैसे आपने बताया कि कोई एक थॉट आई किसी इंसान के बारे में, जिसको हम चाहते हैं, है ना. तो सबसे पहली बात तो ये है कि चाहे हम मानना चाहें या नहीं मानना चाहें, है तो ये हमारा मोह ही ना. एज अ स्पिरिचुअल पर्सन वी विल हैव टू ट्रांसेंड इट. आप देखोगे मदर ने आश्रम में जो भी लोग रहते थे, उनकी फैमिलीज को मदर क्या कहती थी, क्या कहती थी? अटैच रहो अपने माता पिता और बच्चों से. कभी नहीं बोला अटैच रहने के लिए. बोला कि जो भी टेंशन है तुम डिवाइन को देते रहो. रिमेंबर एंड ऑफर, रिमेंबर एंड ऑफर, रिमेंबर एंड ऑफर. इफ डिवाइन इज टेकिंग केयर ऑफ यू, ही डजंट नो बेटर हाउ टू टेक केयर ऑफ योर चाइल्ड. यू नो बेटर, है ना. तो जब भी ये टेंशन से भरी हुई थॉट आती है, जब भी, और ऐसी थॉट्स आएंगी, दिस इज व्हाट आर इविल फोर्सेस, एडवर्स फोर्सेस, डार्क फोर्सेस, है ना, ऐसी थॉट्स आएंगी. The only thing, as you rightly said towards the end, the only thing that we can do, or one of the infinite possibilities how we can deal with it, is offer it to the mother. Mother देखो फिर से आ गई यार, आप कुछ करो इसका, ये बार बार आ जाती है मेरे पास. And cultivating that faith in the divine, that if I am taken care of, I am guided from within and without, won't my child be taken care of? All of us are children of the divine. So धीरे धीरे we have to actually, even our children to whom we are very attached, we have to actually, the highest possibility is to let them be mother's children and let go of unnecessary worries and troubles, because they don't do anything good. कोई practical आप action ले सकते हो उस aspect में, तो वो आप लोगे, है ना, to make people safe or secure or whatever. But knowing that this is uncertain, samsara is uncertain, anything can happen at any time, है ना. तो अगर बाहर किसी के बच्चे को होता है यार, किसी को होता है, तो मेरे बच्चे को नहीं हो सकता, किसी को कुछ भी हो सकता है किसी भी समय. वी हैव टू बी रेडी फॉर दैट. जब मेरे को कैंसर हुआ था, सबसे पहली बात तो ये होती कि भैया मेरे को, हाँ क्यों नहीं, अखबार में अगर 10,000 लोगों को कैंसर होता है, मेरे को क्यों नहीं हो सकता, मैं कौन सी वखरी हूँ, है ना. So you come on the same ground that it's okay, you know, if they can go through it, I can also go through it. So slowly I think difficult journey full of pains and turmoils, but we have to, there is no point, but we have to cultivate this faith and certitude that we are all well taken care of, and our journeys, whoever, whether they are children or siblings, spouses, they are unfolding in the manner they have to unfold, because the divine is looking after everybody like they look after us. तो धीरे धीरे हमको ये डूअरशिप छोड़नी है, क्योंकि पेरेंट और चाइल्ड में हमारी एक डूअरशिप होती है ना, कि जैसे हम हैं करने वाले, करते धरते. और हमको पता है कि बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल्स हैं जिसमें बच्चों के माँ बाप पूरे गुजर गए, बच्चे अनाथ थे, ऑर्फन्स थे, एंड येट दे हैव मेड समथिंग ब्यूटीफुल आउट ऑफ देयर लाइफ. बहुत एग्जाम्पल्स हैं, एनफ एग्जाम्पल्स. इनफैक्ट माता पिता के होने के बाद एक्चुअली काफी लोगों की लाइफ ट्रबलसम हो गई, क्योंकि माता पिता ने ऐसा, है ना, वो माहौल बना दिया कि उससे बेटर तो बच्चा अकेला ही होता.
Even it's, I mean, in so many other relationships also, no, the doership is always
Doership is
there.
there. Yeah.
Children also with, yeah,
True.
right.
So I think this possibility gives us a chance to let go of our doership. Because anxiety and worry tell me about my doership. That why am I so concerned? क्या हो गया? मैं हूँ क्या परमात्मा? So slowly we can develop that faith. And I say that when Mother Teresa has gone away, Sri Aurobindo and Mother have left the body, even when the world is going fine as it ought to be, who am I to be there and thinking that I am indispensable? है ना, कि मैं चली जाऊंगी तो पता नहीं क्या हो जाएगा. So cultivating that faith, and I think many things can happen here. You can visualize, you can affirm, because I used to do these affirmations, they were very helpful. जैसे ही आपको टेंशन आती है किसी के बारे में, है ना, you notice that negative statement that, oh, what would happen of her, who would take care of her. You notice that statement and you transform into something positive, which is, I know she is taken care by the mother, है ना. तो and feel it in the body, feel that empowerment in the body, and keep writing it, right? Because when you are writing, it is entering your subconscious, है ना. तो पूरी कॉपी भर डालो कि आई नो शी इज वेल टेकन केयर ऑफ बाय द मदर, आई नो शी इज टेकन केयर ऑफ, आई नो शी इज टेकन केयर ऑफ, यू नो. तो जो भी लाइन आपको पावर देती है, एम्पावर करती है, जब आप उसको विजुअलाइज करते हो, यू कीप राइटिंग इट सो दैट इट एंटर्स इनटू योर सबकॉन्शियस कंशियस, यू नो, पैटर्न. एंड देन स्लोली, एज वी वर टॉकिंग इन सम अदर सेशन, कि फिर क्या होता है, आपको एक ड्रीम आती है, जरूरी नहीं आए बट आ सकती है, जब आपको ड्रीम में भी उस बंदे के बारे में कोई अब एंजाइटी और वरी नहीं है. इसका मतलब अब वो डीपर लेवल पे चेंज हो गया, क्योंकि ड्रीम में आप किसी को उल्लू नहीं बना सकते ना, ड्रीम में यू कांट फेक. और अगर ड्रीम में एंजाइटी है, इसका मतलब आई स्टिल नीड टू वर्क, because it is, mother says, you know, this yoga of sleep and dreams, you can use your dreams to work on yourself. तो अगर ड्रीम में किसी चीज के बारे में मेरे को लेकर थोड़ी एंजाइटी है, पैनिक है, डर लग रहा है, तो इसका मतलब अभी वो सबकॉन्शियस लेवल पे चेंज नहीं हुआ है, डीपर लेवल पे चेंज नहीं हुआ है. तो जब मैं अपनी ड्रीम याद कर पाती हूँ, तो फिर मैं उस पर काम कर पाती हूँ कॉन्शियसली. व्हेन वी एम वेकिंग, वेकिंग स्टेट है, तो तब आप उस पर काम करो. So it's a very good opportunity to cultivate that faith also for your child, that I know she is well taken care of by the divine. Mother knows better. I don't know much. Mother knows better. So आप इसको, you can actually use this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, anything more? Anyone before the end?
Very beautiful reflection, Monica. And thank you for sharing, Nandini. I just recalled a line. This was the status of my teenage niece's WhatsApp. Her status is, we consume the poison our minds serve us and then wonder why we feel sick.
So beautiful.
So I thought it was just so apt and so true. It's a quote by someone. Just
Beautiful.
to be able
Very
to
powerful.
separate and to be able to see that, especially things like worry, anger, resentment, bitterness, something that is not happening in the present, but either it is imagination of the future or memory of the past, जिसको कि हमारा दिमाग as ingredients use करके it serves us a concoction, और वो इतनी irresistible हो जाती है in that moment and we readily consume it. But like you said, जब आपका बहुत हो जाए, जब आप कंज्यूम कर करके थक जाओ, and that is when you realize, एक मिनट, ये तो बनाता ही जाएगा और सर्व करता ही जाएगा. It's like you're sitting in a bar and you'll continue to be served for as long as you can consume it till you pass out. I mean, till you actually lose complete control, complete sense. It was so beautiful to realize, once एक बार वो नजर आ जाए, शुरू में बहुत थोड़ा नजर आता है, momentarily नजर आता है 2 मिनट पूरे दिन में, but gradually, and this was so beautiful lines today, कि gradually as we meditate, as we look within, as we quieten, as we withdraw from the external world, we're able to see कि हमारा ही दिमाग हमें कितना, nobody can harm us as much as our own mind. Nobody can trouble us as much as our own mind. It's so ridiculous. It's so funny. कैंसर भी हम अपने दिमाग से अपनी बॉडी में क्रिएट करते हैं, हीलिंग भी हम अपने दिमाग से अपनी बॉडी में क्रिएट कर सकते हैं. Like, we read about mental illness अलग है, mental health अलग है, और ये अलग. Every disease from bronchial asthma to, and I remember medical college में पढ़ते हुए, it's so unfortunate that allopathy is so restricted. We read only on the gross, dense physical level, और उसमें और microscopically, genetically, molecular biology में हम घुसते जा रहे हैं. Whereas the need probably is to go meta. It is, to withdraw and go meta, ki, we don't even question the thoughts and feelings that you had for months and years before you developed this illness. बहुत पिछला नहीं तो 6 महीने का भी पूछ ले कि आपको ब्लड प्रेशर, हाई ब्लड प्रेशर डायग्नोज हुआ, आपको कैंसर डायग्नोज हुआ, आपको डायबिटीज डायग्नोज हुआ, आपको आर्थराइटिस डायग्नोज हुआ, पिछले 1 साल में कुछ हुआ था क्या? I remember in my clinic, I started noticing this after the pandemic. Several women of 60, 65 years age, 70 years of age presented, and they would, say कि breast lump feel हुआ है. While taking the history, I would ask कि anything else in the last 6 months, 1 year, pandemic कैसा रहा, आपको COVID हुआ था ये वो? And several of them said, so one of them said, I lost my spouse. He lost the husband. Another one said, I lost my son. Another one said, I lost. And all of those who had a major loss in that time, I saw such a pattern that even before examining, I knew that this lump is more likely to be cancerous. It turned out to be true in almost 80% of the women that I saw in my clinic, just by virtue of the history. And history में भी मैंने lump को हाथ नहीं लगाया. मैंने lump के बारे में कुछ नहीं पूछा कि hard लग रहा है कि soft लग रहा है कि ये है कि वो है. But just by the history that a significant event happens, loss of a spouse happens, and uske baad 6 months later, the right breast में lump आ गया, and proven by biopsy later on turns out to be cancerous. It's just so sad that, earlier we could not correlate these things.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. और इससे पता लगता है, आप देखो ना कि हम कितना वाइटल लेवल पे रहते हैं. एज श्री अरबिंदो सेज दैट मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स वी आर आइडेंटिफाइड विद द वाइटल सोल और द डिजायर सोल, जो हमारी इच्छाएं हैं, तृष्णाएं हैं. तो ये जो आप जैसे इंसिडेंट्स बता रहे हो कि लॉस ऑफ अ लव्ड वन, दैट इज कनेक्टेड विद माय अटैचमेंट. ये मेरी इच्छा है कि ये बंदा मेरे से दूर ना जाए. और आप देखो कि टू दैट एक्सटेंट एक्चुअली इट इज किलिंग, कि अगर वो बंदा चला गया, आई हैव अ डेथ विश which is representing itself as this bodily disease, which if I want, actually I can reverse the process, knowing that, oh, I am identifying with the vital soul, the desire soul, this is not where I have to be, I have to transcend it, and then we take it in that manner. And there are many stories, ample amount of stories where people have been able to reverse the illnesses.
And even the belief that this loved one having left the body अब मेरे से दूर चला गया है, मेरे पास नहीं है. Even that is a belief and it is an illusion. It is not the truth. जो truth है कि we are all one and we are eternal. We are not born, we do not die. I read a very beautiful quote by Ramana Maharshi just today, which said something like, true love is not represented by mourning. Mourning, in fact, shows love of the form, not of the true object. Because if you truly loved the object, not its form, you would know that wo to eternal hai. And you would always feel that energy within you and around you. So even if the Annamaya Kosha has been dropped, आपको फिर भी वो एनर्जी इतनी डीपली अपने अंदर और अपने अराउंड फील होगी कि आपको लगेगा ही नहीं कि कोई कहीं गया है, बल्कि वो तो और डीपली आपके साथ हो गए हैं. So even that is a belief, even that is an illusion that the mind creates. जो हमारा बिलीफ है, जो हम हर साल एक बर्थडे मना रहे हैं, गिनती कर रहे हैं, अब 40 साल, अब 41 साल, all of this is so illusory, so much at the surface.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, any further comments, anyone?
I just wanted to thank Parul regarding this. The same case happened in my family. I lost my brother and my sister-in-law, and just after 6 months, there was no this thing. And when I started asking about her situation, then she said, initial stages she felt there was something here, and I just thought that I have to repress it because I want to live for my daughter. She needs me. And she suppressed all her agony regarding her husband and all these things. And just after 6 months, she was diagnosed that she has a cancer. So how much psychological all these events, nobody can, then you can relate that there is a family history and all these things. Yes.
Yeah, very good. I think it's good that we are now waking up. Even science is now waking up, and even quantum, especially quantum physics, is now actually making us more aware of this subjective reality. कि बाहर कुछ नहीं है, एक्चुअली जो है वो हम ही क्रिएट कर रहे हैं. और जब हम क्रिएट कर सकते हैं तो उसको
not able to understand this.
Sorry?
Still people are not able to understand
I
this.
think
That
slowly
this is
we will.
psychological.
Yes, slowly we will, because I have seen, even Parul would know that nowadays many people are very much interested in these behavioral sciences, neurosciences, है ना. तो meditation, जैसे meditation वाले बंदों को वो scan में डाल देते हैं, and they are checking how they are dealing with life situations or difficult, like painful stimulus, and how non-meditators are dealing with the painful stimulus, है ना. तो ये अब आ रही हैं.
वो तो बहुत स्टडीज हो रही हैं.
हाँ.
न्यूरोसाइंस में ऐसी तो बहुत स्टडीज हैं. दोज हु मेडिटेट, उनका जो ब्रेन स्कैन होगा बिल्कुल डिफरेंट आएगा, और जो स्ट्रेस में है या कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रॉब्लम किसी
और जो नहीं करते हैं, जो मेडिटेट नहीं करते हैं, तो वो दिखा रहे थे कि जो मेडिटेट नहीं करते हैं वो क्या करते हैं, वो पेनफुल स्टिमुलस आने से पहले ही, क्योंकि माइंड्स उनके टेम नहीं है, वो एंटिसिपेट करना शुरू कर देते हैं. तो उस एंटिसिपेशन में उनको और दर्द, दे आर एक्चुअली स्टिमुलेटिंग दैट पेन वाला एरिया. एंड जब वो पेन स्टिमुलस तुमने हटा भी दिया, क्योंकि माइंड आर नॉट अंडर कंट्रोल, इट कंटिन्यूज, दैट पेन कंटिन्यूज कि ओ बहुत दर्द है, बहुत दर्द है. While people who are meditators, they have no anticipation because their mind is fully in the here and now. तो वो जो anticipation वाला जो tension है और जो pain है वो उनको नहीं है. The moment that painful stimulus comes, they have that pain. But the moment that painful stimulus is taken away, the pain is gone, disappeared, because the mind is totally under control.
Correct.
In fact, all these opioids that we give for pain relief, which are the strongest painkillers known, the reason why morphine works on the human body is because the human body has receptors for morphine. The only reason why the human body has receptors for opioids, for example, morphine, is because it creates opioid-like chemicals in its own brain. So it's like हम externally कुछ भी ले सकते हैं, पर जो भी हम पे असर कर रहा है, वो असर इसलिए कर रहा है क्योंकि हमारी बॉडी ऑलरेडी वो बना रही है. To be able to know, now imagine it's so wonderful कि आप अपने दिमाग के अंदर एक केमिकल फैक्ट्री लेके बैठे हो और आप डायरेक्ट करके एक्चुअली वो बना सकते हो. it's so empowering. And I think one of the reasons why this concept, and while now they have started these branches of neuroendoimmunology. So neurology, endocrinology, and immunology is one branch instead of separating it into micro subspecialties. I think one of the reasons is also this whole big pharma. It is so profitable, to have these multi-speciality. I mean, it's so, I don't know. I mean, being a part of the whole, I mean, I've been a doctor, I'm not currently practicing, but I can see how there is such a big push. हमारा इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग वो बिलीव कि नहीं दवाई से ही ठीक होगा और महंगे से महंगे स्कैन से ही पता चलेगा. स्कैन एमआरआई और पेट स्कैन और ये स्कैन और फलाना हमारे अंदर है स्कैनर. I remember when I had a health concern last year and ब्लड काउंट्स होते थे, तो हर रोज सुबह 3 बजे वो नर्स आके सैंपल लेके जाती थी फॉर ब्लड काउंट्स. एवरी डे आई वुड नो. मैं पहले से ही बता, आफ्टर अ कपल ऑफ टेस्ट आई स्टार्टेड थिंक मुझे लग रहा है प्लेटलेट काउंट फॉल कर रहा है. उस दिन ठीक आता था, अगले दिन से फॉल करने लगता था. I noticed a pattern. 24 to 48 hours before my blood counts would fall, my body would let me know. 24 to 48 hours before they would rise, my body would let me know. Sometimes with pleasant, sometimes with very unpleasant sensations. But after a while, I said, ये तो blood test की जरूरत ही नहीं है, मैं पहले से ही. And this was the first time lying in the ICU that I could actually communicate with my body honestly, actually listen to what the body is saying. कि 40 साल की उम्र हो गई, we never speak to. I mean, ये हमें बहुत महान वो लगता है कि अरे ये बड़ा अच्छा है, इतने से प्रिक से ब्लड शुगर बता देता है. आप थोड़ी सी कॉन्शियंट हो रहिए, आपकी बॉडी आपको बिना प्रिक के बिफोर इट फॉल्स बता देगी कि फॉल करने लगा है. It's such a miracle. This body is such a beautiful instrument. It is so perfect. Even when it is manifesting cancer, it is not imperfect. In fact, it is the most amazing perfection कि वो तब तक आपका साथ नहीं छोड़ती. It continues to communicate with you. और आप नहीं सुन रहे हैं तो वो और जोर से और और जोर से और और जोर से नॉक करती रहेगी. It's like this year or next or this decade or next or this lifetime or next. वो portal, I think the body is the portal.
Beautiful.
It's
Absolutely.
so amazing. And once we realize that, कुछ जरूरत ही नहीं किसी और चीज की. But of course, in time, whenever जब भी वो होगा, but it's just so beautiful to be even able to realize it at an individual level कि बहुत ही miraculous चीज हमें मिली है. This human body, this human form. And if we can actually tune in, it's like आपको सबसे महंगा दुनिया का वायलिन मिल गया है. आपको बजाना आ जाए उसको तो आप इतना अमेजिंग म्यूजिक क्रिएट कर सकते हैं. You can actually realize God.
बिल्कुल.
पर बजाना नहीं आए तो वो बजाना सीखना थोड़ा पड़ता है.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
But it's really beautiful reflections
Kabir
today,
ji has
Monica.
written a bhajan on what you just said. ये तन थाट तंबूरे का. I will share the song. It is sung beautifully by Vidya Rao ji. Where he says that this tan is like a tambura. Echat tar marodat खूंटी. What you were saying, regarding the tuning. Echat tar marodat खूंटी निकसत राग हजूरे का. Like it sings the divine.
Wow.
Beautifully sung by Vidya Rao ji.
Please share it.
Yeah, I will share it. So exactly what you were sharing, and it is actually the true purpose of the body is to actually be in tune with the highest possible. If only we can actually realize that we have this opportunity. Yeah, when the mind comes back home, the minds which are lost here and there, it comes back home. It realizes कि सारे, as you right beautifully said, that सारे सिग्नल तो मिल ही रहे हैं, but मैं ही नहीं घर पे हूँ. नॉक्स आ रही है, घंटियां आ रही है, बट मैं घर पे ही नहीं हूँ, तो कोई कैसे पता लगेगा? आप म्यूटेड हो पारुल.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, so beautiful, Monica. And the only thing truly, I remember coming back from the hospital, in so many ways, the only thing I could say was, I'm home. I'm home. I later read Ramdas ka a quote hai where he says, I think it's a documentary on him, which also says, is titled, I'm home, coming home. But there's no other way to describe it. जब वो थोड़ी सी आंख खुलती है, तो यही फीलिंग आती है कि हम घर वापस आ गए. Coming home to yourself, coming home to within yourself.
Actually,
और लिटरली जब पहली बार बाहर से आंखें और कान और जबान हटा के अंदर की तरफ देखो, इट्स सो ब्यूटिफुल. दोबारा आई थिंक उतना डीप स्लीप दोबारा आ ही नहीं सकता.
वापस नहीं आएगा. हाँ हाँ.
दोबारा उतना नहीं आ सकता. आई फील वंस थोड़ी सी भी खुल गई, थोड़ी सी भी अप डाउन हो सकती है लेवल्स, बट वी कैन नॉट बी दैट अनकॉन्शियस. वंस यू सीन, इट्स लाइक इतनी ब्राइट लाइट कि उसके बाद उतनी गहरी निद्रा नहीं आ सकती फिर से.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
And I mean, you write on your blog, the gift of cancer. All of these are gifts. All are miseries. I mean, be it cancer, be it an accident, be it a relationship, be it a financial crisis for some. All of these are such beautiful gifts because all of these are portals. वो धक्का मारे कि about turn लेके घर जाना है. About turn लेके घर जाना है.
Absolutely. Kabir ji, again, you would resonate with Kabir ji a lot, what you are sharing. He says, थारी काया नगर का कौन धनी, मार्ग में लूटे 5 जनी. So we are so lost in the world of senses.
5 senses.
5 senses. That he says कि यहाँ धनी मतलब कोई पैलेस में कोई है, कोई मतलब is there a caretaker? Because as you said, we are not home. We are so lost in the senses and sense perceptions, thoughts, feelings कि घर ही नहीं है. घर पे दस्तक आ रही है, घर ही नहीं है ना. तो ही सेज थारी काया नगर का कौन धनी, मतलब हु इज द केयर टेकर ऑफ योर दिस पैलेस, द बॉडी. मार्ग में लूटे 5 जनी. कि तेरे को लूटा पीटा जा रहा है, तू है कहाँ खोया हुआ है. And then in the other bhajan he also shares that your
5 jani means 5 senses.
5 senses, yes. And in the other one he shares that as if your palace, the body, is like a field, like a farmland or cropland, and all the deers of senses will eat it up if you are not having the guard around it.
Wow.
Which is what happens. Yeah. So very interesting. Okay, so let us stop at this beautiful juncture and maybe share, dedicate merit, take a moment of sharing and dedicating merit. May all of us be well and happy, truly well, truly happy. May we not suffer and all the causes of suffering be taken away from us. May we have happiness and all the causes of true happiness. Thank you, everyone, and I'll share that song, Ya Ye Tan Thaat Tambure Ka, with everyone.
Khalil Gibran has also written like this. Our body is like a sitar.
Beautiful.
That is in context of stress कि अगर आप उसको बहुत कसोगे तो टूट जाएगा और बहुत ढीला होगा तो नहीं बजेगा.
Okay, so it has to be just right.
सुर में रहने के लिए करेक्ट हो चाहिए.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Parul.
Thank you.